Hello and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Schultz, and I am joined on this first day of NFL free agency with my good buddy, Clinton Bonner. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Brandon. This is a tough start, but can you win day one tampering in the first quarter, Brandon? Can you?
First quarter was a little slow. Second quarter, also slow. It definitely seemed like we were waiting until the fourth quarter of this Monday to actually get the news in. And we got some good news, right? Now, it's not any spectacular, like we're picking up the best free agents out on the market that weren't on our team, that were on another team that are going to make our team great. But I think, Leonard Williams and Noah Fant re-signing, both good news for our Seahawks.
Definitely. Well, I think we should talk about all of it. I think some of it's better than other news, but hey, it's all good. Want to remind folks, we got 120 people in here already. So if you're new to it, please, we are encroaching on 4,000. So help us get there. YouTube.com if you're watching it /Seahawkers pod. Hit the likes, hit the subscribes, raise the hawker because boys, this is going to be a great off season. But yeah, I mean, big news. Big Cat's back. That's the big splash. And hey, man, if you we raked in the dollars, right? And we got back a premier player, which makes the trade for a second round pick now like totally cool. Now it's like that trade I think you could check it off as like at least a B, maybe trading towards an A because that's a good signing.
Yeah, and it was $43.85 million guaranteed reported for Leonard Williams as part of that signing, and 3-year deal. So we're going to have to wait and see what the particulars are, but initial numbers coming out don't have him paid among the top 5 interior D linemen. So in terms of a 3-year contract, I feel like that's, you're getting him at appropriate value. You're not overpaying to where it felt like maybe you were overpaying last free agency period when Draymond Jones came in. But I'm happy that the money is being spent on the defensive line, and no offensive line news yet. But we haven't seen Damian Lewis, his name go anywhere, unlike a few other Seahawks.
Yeah, not yet. It's not yet on the offensive line. We do have to talk about the guards because what's going on with the guard situation, it ain't great. Like there is money flying out the door to the, guards of the new cornerbacks and the new wide receivers. It seems like I think we should get into all that. With all that too, like, we were all saying, hey, Big Cat probably going to cost us $20 million a year. That was like the number we were all like pretty comfortable with. Then it was like, oh, we're going to get into a situation where he wants a 4th or 5th year, and we got to do the kick the can voidable years thing. And then, okay, lo and behold, the salary cap goes up by a significant amount, and a little bit more, like 21.5 million, 21 point something million, ends up going to into Leo Williams. It kind of just all makes sense, right? It's like, okay, it's a check the box signing with a huge benefit. 29 turning 30 this year, this season. Just I think it's great, and we get to unlock him even further, or better yet, he gets to unlock the team probably a bit differently in the McDonald's scheme this year versus what we were seeing last year. You mentioned Draymond Jones earlier. Did you see his tweet like midweek, like last week, end of last week, Brandon, about his challenges with the scheme last year?
He was not happy with the Pro Football Focus grades that were going his way, and he may have mentioned that there were some scheme challenges that he was dealing with along with that, which I don't know if I like that, complaining about PFF grades. It's more for us fans to complain about PFF grades and mock other fans who use PFF grades inappropriately, because I saw like other people out there who were totally ecstatic about getting Rams fans in particular, because Colby Parkinson going to the Rams. You're dead to us now, Colby. See you later. But Rams fans were thinking that they were getting a blocking tight end in Colby Parkinson because his PFF blocking grade was so high. Sorry to tell you, Rams fans, that is not Colby Parkinson's game.
Well, there's a couple things here. You keep saying fans, like you just
right,
like Ram fan, right? So the Rams fan, he's a big body, and Do I think a different coach in a different system could unlock him offensively? Yeah, I mean, I hate to say I do think that, otherwise I'd be lying. I don't want it to be the Rams. The Rams also went and got Jonah Jackson, right? The big guard. Don't want to talk too much about them tonight. However, I've been talking about since the end of last year that I think they're reloading a powerhouse pretty quickly. That last draft was amazing. They're off to a fast start. But if you think you're getting like some amazing blocking tight end with Parkinson, he improved, but I don't think he's at the level that PFF might suggest he is.
No, I think Will Dissly probably the better blocking tight end, if that's what you're going for. But we've got some super chats in here. We've got Samuel Gelber coming in with a $12 super chat. Hooray for off-season content. 100% hoopla free. Couldn't even get through that without laughing. Our Ryan 911, also our live executive producer. We've got two of them. We've got Samuel. We've got Ryan. Let's go. Happy to get Leo and Noah back.
Let's talk about Noah. First of all, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Ryan. You guys are the absolute best. We have almost 200 people in here live because people want to talk about the good. They want to talk about the bad, the in-between, the whole thing already. Let's talk about Noah for a little bit. Just person to person, man to man here, Brandon. What Dissly got paid versus what Fant got paid. Who would you rather have right now?
I expected Noah Fant, obviously, to get paid more. I guess I was just surprised that Noah's total salary came in at kind of the combined salary of Colby and Will together. And so when I saw that, I was thinking, oh, well, if we can have Fant for what it would have cost to keep the other two guys who are kind of part-time players, and I feel like there's more upside. He's younger. You've seen less injuries with Fant, although I don't think we've seen a ton of injuries with Colby. But as far as the talent and the upside, I felt like the Noah Fant signing is something I can get behind. I think there were the only thing I don't like about the Fant signing is that I would have liked at the annual per year, which 21 million over 2 years, 10.5 million. I would have liked to see that be 3 years, and so that way, if it's kind of about that same amount, then you're spreading it out. And I think lowering the cap hit over that first year and pushing some of that money back.
Yeah, push a little because the salary cap ain't going to come down, right? So I agree. Pushing that a little further might have been cool. Look, if we're gonna, get on Ram fan for being excited about Colby Parkinson, the blocker, then I think we got to talk about Noah Fant, the blocker, right? This move, I wish Adam was on. He can't get on. He had a project I think he called it ballooning. He had a ballooning project today, so he can't make it. So we're on for him. And with that, he's been like one of the few voices out there being like, hey, watching the Grub offense and watching the lateral game and watching that this is not exactly a tough offense he's running in UW. I do wonder what he would think about this, because of the 3 tight ends we had last year, the 3 starting tight ends, Fant was the weakest blocker. He just was. He was the most inconsistent and the weakest blocker. So I still think we have to either sign some other just blocking tight end backup, or now we still got to go to the draft. We only have really, really one tight end right now. So still got to go to the draft.
We've got 2. We've got Noah Fant and we've got Jake Bobo.
Well, you want to beef Bobo up another 20, 30 pounds and bring him in line, or is he just a move tight
or
end?
Tyler Mabry? I think Tyler Mabry counts as still being on this team.
He's on the team, so sure. I just think, I think we didn't solve it. Like defensive tackle, we solved one of those things.
Sure.
So if we want to go first round guard now, which I think makes a heck of a lot of sense, versus spending first round capital on at pick 16 or wherever we end up at like defensive tackle, I think we could move away from that now. Tight end, I'm still like, I think we need a blocking tight end. I don't think we have one quite yet on this team. What do you think?
I think of Noah Fant's game, that's probably where he would be deficient. But I think that, I don't know, to go out and find a blocking tight end, it's not something that you particularly have to pay for. Like Tyler Mabry may be just a fine blocking tight end if he's out there. And I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Tyler Mabry to know if he's that great of a blocker or not. But Will Dissly, they could have kept him in as a blocker. It's just that I think that there's probably guys who you can find out there to do it. The tight end position group is still relatively deep in terms of some of the names out there. So I think that's probably a place where you can go out and address later. It's just as far as you had to, I would have been disappointed if they would have come out of day one with 0 tight ends, and at least they've got one.
Okay. I think it's a fair take. For me, I was a big Fant dude when we made the trade, and as the year and a half or so ticked on, and then I just did not see enough of the athleticism that made him a first round pick. It's funny how that first round pedigree just sticks with guys. I know he's only 26, but then I look at Geno Stone getting signed today by the Bengals, right? He's a 7th rounder. Okay, yes, he had the one really big year this year, but I think what did he come in at $7.5 million or something like that for Geno Stone?
$7.5 million over
It's
2
like,
years. Yeah.
whoa. I mean, to the Bengals, that's a nice defense that they're putting together still. They're, as long as Burrow's healthy, I think they're still very much in a Super Bowl type window. I think it's a good team. And I saw that number and I was like, oh man, that not to say like he's the end all be all, because it was really one very good year. But I just think it's that big difference between a dude who's been in the league just as long. One of them's a 7th rounder, one of them's a 1st rounder. And if you compare how they've done in the NFL, you could make an argument Geno Stone's been a more effective player. And, and he gets only that for 2 years. It was interesting to me to kind of bring up that pedigree so sticks with dudes, including Williams. It's still sticking with Williams, who was what, the 6th overall pick or 5th overall pick his year?
It does tend to stick with a player, which, it's fine. I mean, that's just the way it is sometimes. But yeah, we've got other news. That this was the big news as far as guards go. Robert Hunt, 5-year, $100 million. That's
he's a
lot of money
guard.
for a guard. I told you last time we were on, did I not tell you that Robert Hunt would probably be the top of the market when it came to guards? And yes, we're still waiting for Damian Lewis news, but we know that Dame Lou not going to be 5 years, $100 million.
What did Jackson get from the Rams, Jonah? Do you know what he ended up getting?
17 API, 16, 17 APY for going to the Rams. So I feel like it's going to be under what the Rams gave him. And I that feels right to me for Damian Lewis to kind of be in that 10 to 14 million range. And I'd be okay with it if the Seahawks end up keeping him at that amount. I don't want the Seahawks offensive line getting worse and losing a center and a guard who started last year. I think would be pretty tough to get over. And again, if we're consolidating some of that money, I was happy that they kind of stayed out of the free agency market with safety. In fact, if they're playing the comp pick game, they're still within that because they end up, I think they get comp picks from what they lost with Colby signing. Jordan Brooks, I don't know if that may be comp pick worthy too. That was the one that was a little bit hard though, right?
Yes,
when you
I
see
agree.
3 years, $30 million, $10 million per year. I was a little surprised to see Jordan Brooks go for that little.
Same for me. I think he's a good linebacker. Just straight up, like he's a good player. And I know, like, okay, do we have a bit of a homer slice to us? He's our guy. Yeah, he's our guy. But he's solid. He's fast. He's a good coverage linebacker. He's a well above average coverage linebacker. And 2 years ago, when I think he had to like call the shots at Cody Barton, I was quite down on him because I was like, I thought he was like playing crazily undisciplined. And I just don't think there was a lot of trust amongst that group and amongst the line. And I thought he just didn't really look good 2 years ago. Then he gets injured, of course, battles back from injury, had I'd say a quite good year, still really good in coverage. Yes, he's getting dinged a little here and there, and that's just kind of what it is. But 3 years, 10 million for an effective, smart, just fast sideline to sideline, fast linebacker, really good in coverage. hit me out of all the things that hit me today. I was just like, damn, we couldn't give him 11 million. We're 10-5 and just be like, dude, stay home for that kind of money. That one hit me, Brandon, the most. Actually, I put it on the thumbnail that I created for this earlier.
Right.
He was featured on it, and I was like, "Ooh, rough start." That was before we re-signed Fant, before we re-signed Leo. So yeah, man. What do you think though for Brooks? How high would you have gone to keep him, knowing the market?
It's tough because I'm kind of with Andrew too, with a comment saying McDonald cut his teeth coaching linebackers. I'm cool with his judgment. The thing that's going to be really hard, I think, when it comes to linebacker is if they cut Brooks and then if they were to sign Patrick Queen for more than what Brooks was paid. And then this would also reflect back on John Schneider, right? Because it was draft day, the year that those guys went back to back, and it was Jordan Brooks going one spot ahead of Patrick Queen. And then if now you let Brooks go at 10 million per year and it ends up being Queen coming in higher, I don't know. I think I would have a hard time with that just because linebacker salary to me, again, I'd rather use that along the offensive defensive lines rather than at linebacker. And I've heard people say, oh, well, look at the Ravens last year. The reason why that Mike McDonald defense was so successful is because they had two high-paid linebackers. Well, not Queen yet, but that Queen would be a high-paid linebacker, and you got Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
I guess I don't believe that that's what it takes is two high-paid linebackers to make the defense work, because he made that defense work at Michigan. And it's not like the dudes coming out of Michigan are top 15, top 20, top, first round guys who are coming into the NFL. I don't think that for that defense to work, you need high paid linebackers.
Well, the Michigan piece, like Junior Colson who knows if there will be a linebacker in the first round this year. Right. So,
right.
But Junior Colson will probably be the first one off the board. So kind of how the NFL is valuing it. And do they see a dude out there that is just a lights out guy? Maybe not. The other piece though, Roquan Smith, yeah, you could pair a lot of people with Roquan Smith and they're going to look pretty good to very good. So I'm definitely fearful. And the piece that the projection for Queen is 17, 18 million a year.
Yeah.
So maybe you get some sort of a deal because he wants to stick with McDonald, and then you get him at 16 million, 16.5, 6.5 million more than what we just watched our guy walk out from.
I don't think he's that much better than Jordan Brooks.
Well, especially if you pair him with Roquan Smith, right? Or when Brooks was with still prime Bobby, or towards the end of prime Bobby, but still really good and fast. Yeah, that'll be a tough one to swallow. Look, and here's the thing: if we sign Patrick Queen tomorrow at whatever the cost, I'm gonna get on here and be like, okay, cool. I'm psyched. We have a good dude. We need some good linebackers. We don't have any. I just don't want to overpay. But at the end of the day, that's why we have GMs. They're going to figure that stuff out.
And we saw some of the more, value-friendly linebackers come off the board during free agency too. So, I think that that's a position that you could probably address. Jeremy Green coming in with the $4.99 super chat. With Brooks gone, should we re-sign Bobby or move Bobo to middle linebacker? Go Hawks. Yeah. Partway after that Brooks news, and then plus we got the Nick Bellore news this weekend that he was gone. I mean, the linebacker group is what, John Radigan and who else?
I think that's it. I really do. It's thin. It's thin. And Bobo to linebacker. Why not? Iron Bobo. Let's go. Let's see him play both sides of the field. There still are a good amount of linebackers out there though. And I'll keep throwing this name out there. Look, how about this package, right? If we went and got Queen and we paid him handsomely, and maybe quote unquote overpaid, maybe 17 million a year, 4-year deal. And the cap people are pissy about it, but we have a good player. I'm telling you, Levante David from the Bucks. I don't think he signed anywhere yet today, right? I didn't see him. I hope he's not gone yet.
So yeah,
that dude to me still plays at such a high level. He's so fast and he's the captain. He calls the plays. he's been a Buccaneer for a long, long time on some extremely stout Bucks defenses. He still plays with a fast sideline to sideline motor, incredibly so considering how old he is. He has not fallen off the shelf. But if you could package something up where it's like, I don't know, $5 million a year for Levante, give him a 2-year deal, and 17 for Patrick Queen, and you're in that 22 mil spot for two really solid linebackers, I know that's, we'll see how it all breaks. I would sign for that right now in a heartbeat, Brandon. Heartbeat.
Yeah, and MG bringing up a good point here. Patrick O'Connell still on this team, our Kalispell, Montana hometown linebacker. So of all the news to get for him, the fact that Bobby may not come back was one of the reports that we heard this past weekend. And then for, Brooks to go down south. Yeah, that's we might be talking about starting linebacker Patrick O'Connell if we aren't bringing any free agents.
Who was the dude that got cut by the Raiders late last year? Was that Levi Bell or somebody else? It was like a linebacker that EJ loved.
Well, I think he was an outside pass rushing linebacker.
Was he more edge, more like 3-4 edgy guy?
Yeah.
But
and Nwosu is still on the team. Somebody brought him up in the chat. But yeah, those are more the edge, and we're looking at inside linebackers. So again, I don't know if they're super important, but we got Michael Mathis coming in with a $4.99 super chat. I expected a lot of things today. I didn't expect Colby Parkinson and Jordan Brooks to get almost the exact same contract.
Yeah, I guess height matters, right? So, and the thing is too with these players, I wanted to mention this about Brooks, but with Parkinson, folks probably saw his tweet. He's like, I'm excited to go back home. He wanted to go to LA, and with Brooks, I mean, Miami is a destination, right? So you're Pacific Northwest all that time for the last 4 years, 4 years of his life. Maybe he's just like, look, I'm good. I want to go to Southeast Florida and be in Miami. I kind of get it. If you get a choice, it's an alluring place to go, and why not already?
And that's one of the things too, that even with the Geno Stone news, it's like, yeah, there's that connection to Mike McDonald, but we don't know if Geno Stone has a connection to Cincinnati. Maybe he dislikes the West Coast. It's with any of these deals, there's so many other things that could potentially be going on that would keep them from going to any particular spot. And so whether it's having the connections, whether it's having a connection to a place, like Colby Parkinson, who likes the big waves in LA, now gets to go surfing on all his off days. It makes a ton of sense for Colby.
It does. And Brandy Horner here commenting on YouTube, doing our work. Let's get the likes up there. It helps. So, hey, there's 365 folks here live right now. So the ticker says, which is pretty amazing. Hit the likes. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. We go live quite a bit, so notifications. And Brandon, I like the off season. I know some people are gaga over it, but I love the actual season, which is when we have all our unique shows, 5 days a week for folks out here that maybe are here for the first time. Our previews, our reviews, we do quite a bit during the season.
And we're almost to 4,000 subscribers. So help get us over the edge. I think we're about 18 or so more to go to get over 4,000 subscribers. So yes, if you're new here, hit subscribe, get all our shows. We've got Taryn Srin. Oh boy. We've got Taryn.
I got this. Srinivasan. Yep. Srinivasan or Srinivasan. Yeah. I work in technology. I work with a lot of folks named Srini. So Srinivasan.
Taryn says some names to watch at inside linebacker: Simmons, David White. See, you brought up David. Tyra Dotson, Queen, Willie Gay, and Josie Jewell. Do you think who needs to chill on linebacker? Isaiah Simmons was one of the guys that I find intriguing. A guy who's really athletic. You talk about guys that are attached to their draft position. Isaiah Simmons, top 10 pick with the Arizona Cardinals.
Super athletic, definitely big freak of a dude. Josie Jewell is an interesting one. Got to watch him a bit last year with the Broncos. And the thing I like about his kind of, as they cover him, if you read different things about him, they're like, yeah, you know what? He might not splash, but overall, he's just really good. And then you read the next thing about him, like, yeah, he won't be the flashiest guy, but in position, makes his tackles, like, just it's over and over and over again about him being a super consistent linebacker. And then I look at what McDonald did with, like, oh, kind of journeyman, some super consistent dudes. And the way he frames up his defense, again, we talked about it previously, is like he doesn't allow for defensive freelancing. So if you're out there and you're doing your own thing and it's not part of the very, again, Belichickian, do your job, cover your ground, know your assignment type stuff, he'll bench you. He won't, I don't think he's going to stand for it. But everything I read about Josie Jewell, that he's kind of right in that sweet spot. So that would be a really cool signing. So thank you, Taryn. That's a cool observation, man.
Nate Schutz, Trotter Jr., Adrian Cooper, and more in the draft at linebacker. And I've talked to EJ Snyder a little bit. We've had him on where we've talked linebackers and some of the players who might be available for the Seahawks and guys that you can get on day 2 and day 3 that they may have some limitations, but you're looking at guys who are younger and faster. And yeah, I know when it comes to Bobby Wagner, that might be a bit of a touchy subject of whether or not to bring him back. Like I wouldn't close the door on it. Like we might need Bobby back if it comes down to it with these linebackers. And if they start going away to other teams, maybe you find a way, Mike McDonald, to make it work with Bobby Wagner on this team next year.
I'm not in it. I'm not in for it. I don't see, being honest, I don't see enough speed. I do not see enough speed from Bobby at this point in his career. Is he still effective at certain things? Of course he is. And this is no slight. I don't want to hear it. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Love the dude. What a surprisingly amazing career, because he's a rookie when we're just starting to be awesome. And then, win this first Super Bowl where it's not about him yet. And then it was really fun to watch him in like 2014, 2015, 2016, where he became an absolute just game wrecker. Like game after game after game was ridiculous. And he wasn't really that well known yet when we won the Super Bowl, just because it was so overshadowed by the Legion of Boom and all the other talent around him. It's like, oh, he's a nice piece. He might really be a good pro. And then he becomes this 9-time all pro, like first ballot dude. It's been a delight to have him on the team. I really would love to go either more, go to the draft or just go find some 26, 27-year-olds, kind of mid-career dudes who still have all their speed at linebacker and pay them a little bit of money. That's where I'd want to go.
And this is what I'm talking about when guys' names coming off the board. Drew Tranquil, one of those names that we are looking at, and he's being re-signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. And so when I saw that, I was like, that's kind of a bummer because that was one of those names for sure that I was thinking, a good potential value signing.
I love that. I loved him 2 years ago. Oh, love is strong. I really like what I saw 2 years ago on the Chargers. We talked about that then. We're like, the Chargers were on a ton that year. They were on a ton of Sunday night games, Monday night games. I'm like, this Drew Tranquil guy just keeps showing up. And then he signs a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. He played great in the playoffs. People were like, I hit a so-so year. Played really good in the playoffs. They win another Super Bowl. And did he re-sign multi-years again? I don't even know if it was a 1-year deal.
Yeah, it was a multi-year deal that he got with the Chiefs.
Good for him. I mean, those are the kind of dudes I think you could pair with another good linebacker and I hate to say get away with it in that position that cheapens it. Better allocate funds to maybe some other positions, even like, again, DT, edge, et cetera, with dudes like Drew Tranquil that just they're really valuable in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs coming off the Super Bowl, they're probably getting a little value out of that because they're getting Chris Jones back, they're getting Drew Tranquil back. So yeah, I think there's some guys that probably want to stay and keep that team together if they can.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Why not? It's funny that I forget what it was. It wasn't PFF. Somebody put together a report on like they ranked the ownership. The NFL owners.
Oh yeah, they got F minus.
The Chiefs got an F minus, and I was texting some buddies of mine, like, yeah, that's for sure. I'm sure they don't mind their Super Bowl rings. I'm sure they don't mind Their extra paychecks for making the playoffs, their extra paychecks for becoming Pro Bowlers because they're on the Chiefs, their extra paychecks for making the Super Bowl, then winning the Super Bowl. It's like not every dude makes 25 million or 30 or 40 million in the NFL. A lot of guys make 1 to 2 million. And I'm not going to cry Argentina for them there, Brandon. But if you're making 2 million, but then you got like, let's say 300,000 in bonus money because the team's successful. Yeah, I'd go back there too. You could take your maybe slightly nicer locker room. I'll take the $400,000. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'll take the Super Bowl ring too.
Exactly.
That's fine. Yeah, Ryan Neal is he available as a free agent? I know he went down to play safety for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't even know if he's available.
I'm pretty sure he is. I know he came up the other night. I think Amy Holmes had brought him up. So and if Amy's saying it, then we know it's the truth.
We'll have to see. I know that they brought in or were scheduled to bring in one of the Jaguars safeties, and I don't know.
Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't super stoked about that name.
But yeah, I saw your reaction on Twitter. I didn't know him all that well. I went back and just watched a little bit of his stuff just to see. He met with them today, and then I was meeting with the Niners tomorrow was what I read. So yeah. I kind of feel like if he's not, maybe he just wants to talk to a few more teams and do his thing. But it being day one, if I feel like if Seattle really wanted him, maybe you just don't let the dude lead the building.
Yeah, well, and I'm thinking in terms of his value, I'm just trying to gauge him with Quandre Diggs. If you were going to pay that amount of money, just keep Quandre Diggs at a restructured contract which is what they were able to do with Tyler Lockett. They restructured Tyler Lockett. Tyler stays on the team, and I could be happy.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Tyler yet because so much has happened since then. And so what did we end up clearing? About $13 million back to the cap. Was that about right?
I don't know if the exact numbers came out, but I think the speculation was that it would be between 7 and 13. Yeah.
Well, I like 13 better than 7, but either way, still a good deal. Glad he's here. And hopefully that puts him in position just to be a kind of a Seahawk for life type thing. We saw Mike Evans get a really, really sizable contract. Now, Mike is on a bit of a different NFL trajectory. Has won a Super Bowl. He's got that, 10 years of scoring the X amount of touchdowns, likely a Hall of Famer, whereas Tyler is probably that just rung right below on like really, really, really quality player. But it'd be something if that dude could spend his whole career with Seattle. And, there is something special about that just happens so less often nowadays, even with players like Bobby, that it would be super cool if Tyler could spend his whole career with us.
Well, I mean, Bobby, because he took the 1 year off and he didn't really even play in the NFL and then came back to Seattle. Unless he goes somewhere else this year, then, we can say that Bobby Wagner played his whole career in Seattle.
Yeah, that last one didn't count. I agree with you. I agree. I did see Al-Shaair. He signed a contract. I think it was the Texans, and it was a better contract than Brooks.
Yeah.
So it kind of just goes to show you, like, again, with Queen, and Al-Shaair is a good linebacker, but I also don't put him in the category of any better or any better than Jordan Brooks. And again, that might be a bit of the homerism kicking in, but I think Al-Shaair is a good, competent NFL linebacker, and I think Jordan's a little better than that, actually. Maybe it's just the injuries, man. I mean, it's just the fact that Brooks has been dinged that really hurt him. And if that too, a 3-year contract, like I was surprised. Like if you're going to take only that, maybe bet on yourself, do it for 1 or 2 years and then try to get out and get more money one more time. But guess we'll see.
Got James Stradley saying, go back and watch all the Geno Stone interceptions last year. Most of them were either overthrown to him or tipped. Go look at his tackling grade from last year. Go Hawks. Yeah. If you're not happy with the tackling from Quandre Diggs, you may not be happy with the tackling from Geno Stone. So that was the other thing that I have a question about too, as far as Geno went. Are a lot of those interceptions based off of the scheme that Mike McDonald implemented? So could we see, I don't know, Kobe Bryant go out there at free safety and be just as opportunistic at free safety as Geno Stone? That's with the 1 year wonders. I have a hard time being too sad about paying all that money to.
Yeah, and look, the NFL agreed, right? That's not a huge contract. So what James is giving us some wisdom there. You get the splashy interception numbers, and of all the things in the NFL that are like have the highest variance, interceptions has got to be like on the podium, if not like number one. The variance in INTs is just, it's huge, which makes what Diggs did for, the 4.5, 5 years he was with Seattle, and then his time with Detroit, that much more impressive because he was just every single year. Sans last year, you could basically pencil him in for 45 picks every year, and that's something. He was a very good Seahawk. What a good trade that was.
And speaking of people who were complaining about scheme out on Twitter, I think it was Quandre complaining that he shouldn't have had to tackle as often. So.
Yeah, he's like, I led the team 100 plus. He's like, that ain't great, 100 something tackles. Like, yeah, no, your safety, your free safety should not be leading your team in tackles. That's a bad sign. Brandon, I was arguing with somebody that dropped a YouTube comment, arguing, just keeping the conversation going the other day. And they were talking about, they were talking about Geno and like, oh yeah, just making more excuses for Geno and all that stuff. And then I welcome any conversations on Twitter. I mean, on YouTube, it's great. So, it helps the algorithm. Plus you could have an opinion. No big deal. And then they were talking about the Cardinals game last year and throwing up the stats of like what Geno did and how the Cardinals had so many more first downs and all this stuff. And I'm in my head, I'm like, I know we got jellied that game. So I went back and looked and I responded to the dude. I'm like, hey man, you say all these things, but James Conner had 150 yards on the ground in that game. And the Cardinals had possession for almost 37 minutes to our 23 minutes. So did Geno Smith play? Was he Iron Mike that day? Was he playing both sides of the ball? Like, so I don't think we're trying to say Geno is like top 5. I've argued with a good offensive line, he could pitch into that area, but it just cracked me up that like the cherry picking of these stats. It's like, yeah, but our defense was so bad, and the Quandre Diggs has got to come up and make 10 tackles a game, and he misses 1 or 2, and he kind of got railed on for having tackling problems, where maybe it's just a volume problem that your safety shouldn't be asked to tackle that friggin' much.
Right. Yeah. If you look at a lot of free safety statistics, they tend not to be the greatest of tacklers when it comes to making open field tackles. So, but those are the guys that you generally don't want to be making open field tackles. So yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, Isaiah Simmons, that's a name I'm going to be watching over the next couple days. I don't know though if this just seems to be how free agency tends to go for John Schneider. Like last year, I feel like was a little bit of an anomaly. Oh my gosh, anomaly.
Okay, try it again. It's cool.
I got it the third time.
I know.
Yeah, a little bit unusual to see making a big splash on day one with Draymond Jones, but I don't see us going out, and one, because I don't think that this team is a player or two away from saying, okay, here we got to make our Super Bowl run. It just seems like with the new head coach, with the position this team is in, it might take a little bit more, and maybe building through youth is a little bit better way to go.
And I like you said about I think it was Hunt earlier, right? With the $20 million for our guard. I don't think, there's not too many guards left that I think are going to even get that money, if any of them do. And it just makes me more and more wanting to spend that 16th pick on whomever it might be that probably maybe it's a tackle, and we figure it out. It's like, just take the best offensive lineman, because there's some really good dudes. And the thing is, I know there's like a huge percentage of people who still want us to take a quarterback. It was the day after the combine, Adam and I hopped on, which is a video we ended up putting live yesterday, and Softy put out a poll. 67% of Seahawks fans, or the voters, I'm assuming mostly Seahawks fans, there was like 6,000 votes. 67% wanted Seattle to take Penix if he's there at 16. It was like, just take no, not sure. Like, not at all. Because we need offensive linemen. Our offensive line's a mess right now, man. It's not a good offensive line.
That's why you get Damian Lewis. You've got Olu at center. Maybe you get a right guard that you draft in the 3rd round, and Yeah, I think you can make it work if you still draft a quarterback in the first round, especially if a guy that you think is the future is there.
I understand. And yes, you could, because why could you? Because you could
Have him
draft early.
sit behind Gino for a year. I think that's fine.
It's fine, but it's by no means is it what I want this team to do. But there are some really solid. There's like 3 to 4 really solid stud between tackle guard guys, interior or tackles that are sitting right there. And I know people are like, "Well, we got 2 tackles." Maybe we have 2 tackles. We don't know about Abe, and you could always talk to one of them, be like, "Hey, this is how it's going. You're going inside." They're athletic enough, So or the new dude you draft, you kick him inside as well, right? And the cool part, being a Seahawks fan, I'm on the East Coast. I know there's lots of PNW folks out there. So got the stud at Oregon State, you got the stud at UW. There's just dudes, man. I want some offensive linemen, man.
I think there's some sentimentality that goes along with Penix too. So I can definitely see why a lot of our fellow Seahawks fans are saying, yeah, go get and he's been good. So I've seen a lot of his throws from college, and it's like, yeah, those are some professional level throws. I'd be with you if it were some scrub quarterback that, like Malik Willis, who we were talking about drafting in the first round a couple weeks ago, who's, third stringer on his own team now.
Yeah, he's no good. You know what? I understand the love for Penix and the love for, because of the locality there. But then how about the same love for Troy Fatano? Let me see it there. That dude.
Corey's got the love for him right here.
Well, there we go. There it is, Corey. Thank you, dude. Yeah, Fatano, you just set it and forget it, man. And Phil said this the other day. Phil was talking about the shifting of the monies from safety to up to the trenches, and then he put something in our Discord, and oh man, what was the point he made? It was really good, really, really astute point. He's like, oh, I meant to land on this, and I forget exactly what it was, but it was I lost it. Mr. Phil, it was a good point. Y'all out there should join the Discord, because obviously the good info's in there. So
join the Discord. You can find out about the point. See, it's a teaser. It's a teaser from Clinton. You can find out about the point that he was going to make based on the comment of 3 feeling good in the Discord. So you can join that. Getintheflock.com, and you can be a part of our community that way. And yes, if we haven't mentioned it already, please like the video, hit subscribe while you're here. Help see if we can get over 4,000 on this channel.
Yeah, we are getting close. Just as I refresh, we are 13 away now, Brandon. So we're
yes,
rapidly climbing. It's like a Jerry Lewis telethon. The guy in the background spray painting the big thermometer.
We need the thermometer.
That's what we need. Brandon, should we just stay on till we hit 4K? Let's just do it now.
No,
let's not. I know. Let's not. It'll get bad fast. We'll lose subscribers quickly. So, all right. So one last question for you: Is there a player out there that you covet? My dude's Levante David, for the reasons I stated. Is there a dude out there like you, maybe a little bit of a free agent crush that you got going on?
If I were going to go linebacker, I would go younger, and I would go Simmons. That's a guy that I would have liked the Seahawks to have drafted a few years ago, and I just don't think they found a good use for him down in Arizona. I think the Mike McDonald defense might have a better spot for him.
I like it. Well, what do you say, Brandon? You ready to wrap this thing up on this beautiful first day of legal tampering?
It's the first day of free agency, Clinton. This is what it is now. They have the opportunity to negotiate. This feels like free agency. Free agency is starting. Free agency is here. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Get out of here, Corey. We're not saying go Bills. Go Hawks.
But thank you.